Cheese. All right, and welcome back to That's Some Cheese, part of the Vendetta Sports Podcast Network. Today is Monday, March 29th, 2021, and today we're going to do a little bit of a baseball preview. MLB opening day is April 1st, so what better way than to celebrate the upcoming season than to bring on our guy? Is it Milo or is it Milo? I don't want to mess this up.
It's Milo. It's Milo.
That's what I thought. That's what I thought. And Alex over here saying Milo is like, that's not right. Milo Coulter, and his reward for doing 5 posts yesterday is he gets to be on the show today.
Yeah.
So Milo is one of our great interns for MLB, does a lot of posts. Did a bunch of overrated, underrated posts yesterday. So Milo, how are you? What's going on?
I'm doing well, man. Just stoked for the season to start, chomping at the bit, kind of getting tired of these spring training games and just ready to see some real action,
Before I start the show here, producer Alex, how are you? What's going on?
I'm good. I'm ready for baseball. College basketball coming to an end, so good segue.
Yeah. Yep. Anyway, before I start the show, there's a couple bones I got to pick with you, Milo. Sure. So I just want to start there. This idea that the Dodgers stole Mookie Betts, can we just stop with it? Can we just stop with it? Can we just, I don't want to say that they did or didn't. Can we just let it play out here? Because
we'll see.
Number one,
big issue. Go
ahead. Number one, Alex Verdugo is pretty good. He's no slouch. He hit over 300 last year. He was awesome. He led all of baseball in outfield assists. He could really defend too. He's a stud. And I think this Jeter Downs kid is going to be pretty good too.
Yeah.
So can we stop this? Oh, the Dodgers stole Mookie Betts thing.
Yeah. I mean, you guys got some great pickups in that trade. I mean, that was, by every definition, a blockbuster trade. Even though, I obviously have some bias towards, the Los Angeles Dodgers.
Never.
Yeah. I do have a great deal. I don't think these big deals are a very good idea for teams because, I think if you look at, the Albert Pujols, when he signed with the Los Angeles, Angels, maybe like 10 years ago, I mean, that was just a mistake. And
it's about 300 years ago, it seems like.
Yeah. And, luckily he's on his last leg of his career and he's gone after this season with the Angels. And, if that isn't a clear indication why big contracts are just idiotic, I don't know what else is, in my opinion.
Mookie Betts got the bag. There's no doubt about that. I just want to stop this narrative that, oh my God, the Red Sox, they just don't know what they're doing thing. Because that is just not defined. Can we just figure out if Jeter Downs can play and Verdugo looks like a hit? And not only that, they didn't have to give the $400 and whatever million to Betts. And I don't know, I just want to stop this narrative.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Verdugo is a proven major league player. I mean, what was it, a few years back when I think that was 2019 or 2018. I mean, he hit well over 300. He was able to, have like 10, 15 home runs in limited plate appearances. It was the right move for the Dodgers to get rid of him. They needed to get, that extra piece that would push them over the edge. And that was definitely Mookie Betts. Jeter Downs, he's a minor leaguer, and that's my issue. They're so unproven. And so you don't exactly know what they may entail, even though they're high, maybe they're picked high in the draft or whatever. You never really know. You never really know.
My point is a trade can also be a win-win. It was, the Dodgers, go ahead, go all in. But the Red Sox were still going to be terrible with Mookie Betts last year.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, when you don't have any pitching, I mean, that's not going to benefit you whatsoever.
They weren't going to make the playoffs with or without Mookie Betts last year.
Absolutely. I agree. I mean, it's just crazy to think that, the Red Sox and the Dodgers have had so many big blockbuster, trades in the last 10 years. I mean, you look at, the Adrian Gonzalez, Carl Crawford, and the Josh Beckett trade that took place. What was that, like 2013 or 2012?
Yeah, and the Red Sox won the World Series the year after that trade.
They won that trade for sure. I mean, we got a good first baseman, but what, Nick Punto? I mean, Nick fucking Punto, man. I mean, what can you do with him? I mean, he's just a utility guy that bats, barely above his weight. And, Carl Crawford, he was out of baseball in like 2 years. Like, he wasn't the same player he was with Tampa Bay. So, historically, I guess, based on that trade and maybe a few trades, in the past, I mean, you look at how, the Red Sox have benefited from these trades, and maybe they do have a plan in the long run.
Another bone I have to pick with you, and this is the last bone. This guy, sure. Milo over here, saying the Red Sox are going to lose 100 games this year. Now, I know, hey, I'm not saying the Red Sox are going to win the World Series. I'm not even saying they're going to win the division. But you know how bad you got to be to lose 100 games? That's like Detroit Tigers level bad right now.
I think I've dropped it down to 85. I think there was
that's fair.
I think there was a bit of an exaggeration on my part there.
100 games is whoa. Like, you got to be real bad. That's that's the tanking Astros before they got all their players bad.
Yeah, it's the Pittsburgh Pirates right now.
Yeah, that the Pirates can lose 100 games.
Yeah, I feel like Boston and San Francisco are very similar in a sense where they're not buyers, but they're not sellers. They're not doing the fire sale, but they have some great players. I mean, you look at San Francisco and you have guys like Mike Yastrzemski, you guys, like Brandon Belt, you have these guys that could be really impactful. And they do have some, solid starters. I will say that Boston will probably fare better than San Francisco, but I don't think they're going to be either buyers or sellers, to be honest, at the trade deadline.
I think the Sox kind of went through their sell mode. I think they're kind of just on the up now. So I think probably next year they'll start to become buyers. Yeah.
I mean, that all depends on what happens this year. It all depends on what, takes place on the field. And, this is a make or break season for Boston in terms of that.
All right. That's our guy, Milo Coulter. What's your Twitter handle? Let's shout him out.
It's Milo BC. It's either Milo BC or Milo BC1. I can never remember it.
We need to get him more followers. So make sure to follow Milo. Producer all day, AJ27 in the booth, myself, Trey Dalbert. I figure let's just run through the divisions quick and sort of give a quick preview.
Sure.
AL East. Who do you have here?
I think it's a toss-up between Toronto and New York.
See, I agree with you. I think Toronto's going to be sneaky good to the point where I do think Toronto can win the division.
Yeah, I think Bo Bichette is going to be a really impactful player. I think he's going to hit for a lot of power this year, and I think he's going to be the most exciting player in the AL Eastern Division for this year.
I think Kevin Biggio can play. I think Vlad Guerrero Jr. can take a step forward. I think their pitching is starting to come along too. I think Toronto's sneaky good.
Yeah, and didn't Vladimir Guerrero Jr. didn't he lose weight this year too?
He did. He looks good.
He looks very fit. He's probably he'll probably hit 25 to 30 home runs this season.
George Springer's a big addition too.
Yeah. Oh, totally. And didn't they just pick up Marcus Semien as well?
Yeah.
From Oakland. I mean, their offense,
they could have a scary good offense.
I know. I'm not going to compare it to the days of, Donaldson and Encarnacion and Batista, but I mean, they could match that, with these young guys that they have. And I think, some of them might even have better careers than those guys.
To me, it's a matter of when, not if, for this Blue Jays team.
Sure.
If it's not this year, it'll be next year where they're really good. Producer Alex, I want to bring you on. Are you concerned about anything with the Yankees? Because I don't know if their bullpen's going to be nearly as good. Losing Britton, Ottavino's gone, Chapman's a head case and should be in jail anyway.
And Tanaka's gone too, man.
Tanaka's gone. Domingo Herman should be in jail too. So
he's not. So he's back. So
they love the domestic violence guys. So
not having him last year really was terrible in the playoffs. Okay. The question really should be, am I worried about the Blue Jays? And a little bit, but even if Toronto wins the division, in everyone's minds, it should be that the Yankees are number 2 behind them. So even if they don't get the division, I'm not even worried about them, missing the playoffs. In terms of someone that should be worried about missing the playoffs is you, Mr. Trey. You should be worried about missing the playoffs.
I'm not worried about it.
I feel good about it. I feel good about the team right now. Happy to have these additions. Garrett Cole starting the season off right on opening day. I can't wait. I can't wait to go through this again.
I don't necessarily care if the Red Sox make the playoffs. I just don't think they're going to lose 100 games.
I think Tampa has a better shot than Boston.
I want to bring this up actually because I think there's a chance that Tampa's a fourth place team. They lost a lot of guys. When you lose a Blake Snell, a Charlie Morton, you lose Alvarado out of the pen, and their offense stinks to begin with. Like that's not a team that you can just, oh, we lost Blake Snell. They can't hit it regardless. You're asking Michael Wacha to come in there and be a stud. I don't see how that's like, ooh, Tampa. They lost a lot of guys.
Yeah, they're like the Oakland days of 10 years ago, I'd say. They just, it's kind of a roller coaster team. I mean,
I would take Boston's lineup over theirs 1,000%.
Oh my God. I mean, all they have is Austin Meadows. That's literally all they have.
And maybe Meadows didn't even have a good year last year.
Yeah. And then honestly, they've already figured out how to pitch to a Rosarena. You don't leave him anything on middle in or outside. You have to pitch him away. I mean, that's just how you pitch to him. And I think, you can't bank on a Rosarena. I don't think he's going to be a rookie of the year candidate at all, to be honest with you.
All right. AL Central. Now I probably would go with the White Sox, but I'm so nervous about this La Russa hire. Is there a chance this club just tanks? Because that was the weirdest hire to me of all time. How do you hire that guy?
Yeah, he's been around in the game too long, and I don't know.
Not only that, he like got a DUI, and they're like, yeah, let's hire him anyway.
What is he, like 77 years old or something like that? He's an old man. I mean, he was coaching back in the days of Canseco and McGuire, back in Oakland in the 80s. I mean, it's crazy that he's even there in the first place. But other than that, I mean, I just think they have such a great team,
I know the rest of the division is so bad. It's hard to pick against them.
Yeah, no, totally. I mean, Cleveland, they're going to be tanking this year. I mean, it's sad because they were such a great team in the second half of the 2010s. But, when you lose Carrasco and you lose, Francisco Lindor, who was overrated, by the way. I mean.
Yeah, make sure to read that post.
Yeah. Yeah, no, they're tanking, definitely. Royals are terrible, Yeah, I mean, there's
the
just
Twins will hang around like they normally do, but they're not serious.
Yeah, they'll have 6 guys that will hit like 30 home runs, Kepler and, I think Lucas Giolito will make a strong case for the American League Cy Young Award. And, Liam Hendricks is going to be their stellar guy out of the bullpen. I think, I just see them going really far this year. I don't think they'll be pennant winners, but I think they're going to go far.
AL West. It feels hard to pick against Houston, but every single year they keep losing guys. And at some point it feels like they will fall off. It's hard to lose a Springer. And I believe Verlander's out for the year now, right? He's not going to pitch. So they've lost Cole, they've lost Springer, Verlander. Like at some point, all these things got to catch up to you.
All they have is Greinke, who's, I think he's 36 now, and he's their ace, quote unquote. Hey. And they have Lance McCullers, who is...
Yeah, that's right. He should be back.
Yeah. He just signed a 5-year deal, and I think he's incredibly overrated. He did not deserve that money that they gave him.
I really like Framber Valdez. He's up and coming.
I think that they, Yordan Alvarez, I think he'll be the key piece of he'll be the centerpiece of their offense, Yuli Gurriel as well. And, I know Carlos Correa is coming up on a contract here. He'll be a free agent in the 2021 offseason, but I still think they have a team that could win 90 games. Definitely.
Yeah, I think so too. I want to bring up a topic on this division that some people disagree with me.
Sure.
It's time to trade Mike Trout. It's been time to trade Mike Trout. They should have traded him the year before and the year before and the year before and the year before and the year before that. This Angels team will never win anything with Mike Trout on the roster. They are so bad. And I'm tired of seeing Mike Trout go out there every single game, put up numbers, and have his team lose. They have wasted his career.
Agreed, 100%. I think they'll be in potential contention if that's
No,
even
they won't.
even
They
with
won't.
Shohei Ohtani, maybe pitching 25 games this year.
Oh boy.
I mean, okay, here's the thing. He would be like their only pitcher. They might be
That's the problem. They never have any pitching ever.
I mean, Andrew Heaney is their opening day starter. So, I suppose you're right in that sense. When you really think about it, they do have a great offense. You really, you have Anthony Rendon over there at third, and
Mike Trout's never won a playoff game. Not a series. He's never won a single playoff game in his career.
Yeah.
It's time.
Yeah.
Blow this puppy up.
Yep.
You can get 10 players for Mike Trout and probably be better.
Yep. Where would you see him going if
they're never going to do it. That's the problem. They're never going to trade him.
Yeah. No, it's hard. And, honestly, I think the abbreviated season, I'm kind of going back to what the Astros did last year. Even though it was an abbreviated season, I firmly believe that the Astros still would have won the division. I think Oakland, we talk about, what Tampa Bay did last year. Oakland has no offense. All they have is power. You have Chapman and Matt Olson and who are some other guys in that team.
Chris Davis
Chapman
is washed. Well, they just got
Chris Davis is absolutely washed. I mean, Ramon Laureano, he could make an impact, but I think his real thing is the defense there in center field. You have a team where all the batters hit between 210 and 220, and maybe they'll hit 20 to 30 home runs. They don't have hitting on that team, and their pitching. I just don't see the Oakland Athletics coming close to what they've done in the last 2 seasons at all.
Let's take a quick break here. Unless, Alex, you have anything you want to chime in on the AL, and then we'll take a quick break.
I think you guys are really hitting it on Oakland. I wanted to touch on those White Sox because even though we were talking about maybe that fall off, I mean, I think they're still so dominant. But when you still look at what the AL is going to come down to, I still think it's going to be an AL East battle, and that's me being biased, but I still think that's probably the top division there. So, in terms of coming out of the American League, it's got to be a team from the AL East.
All right, let's take a quick break. We'll be right back.
The following is brought to you in partnership by Symbol. Symbol is a new sports marketplace where you can trade shares of professional teams like stocks. You love sports. You interested in fantasy sports without the weekly annoyance of fantasy league upkeep? Then Symbol's the app for you. With Symbol, fantasy sports is going to a whole other level. How it works is simple. You buy Symbol shares for your favorite sim teams on the app. When your sim team wins, you get automatic cash deposits, and you don't lose any money when they lose. That's it. So if you follow trends across football, basketball, and baseball, and you think your team is a sleeper, simply invest in your favorite sim teams on Symbol and watch your virtual portfolio prove you right or wrong. And if you want to get in on the action right away, Vendetta Sports Media's got you covered. Go to symbol.app/Vendetta and use our exclusive promo code Vendetta, and you'll get a $10 bonus when making your first deposit. Symbol, taking fantasy sports to a whole other level.
All right, we're back. Make sure to follow Milo. It's Milo BC on Twitter. He needs some more followers. We need to up his social media game some more. All day AJ27 in the producer booth, myself, Trey Daubert. Before I jump into the NFL or the NL National League, I need to comment on your outfit. It's you. What do you do besides write for us? I just need to know.
I go to school. I am I'm a broadcast journalism major at Cal State Northridge, and I play music. I teach kids how to play guitar, and kids and adults on Zoom, and I go to their houses and stuff like that.
I knew you knew how to play guitar. You look like a guitar guy. It was the chest hair. I think that's what it was.
Hey man, I'm a hairy guy, man.
Yeah. Anyway, all right, let's jump to the NL East. This is actually maybe the toughest division on paper, in my opinion. There's a lot of teams that at least can at least be competitive. But I still think at the end of the day, Atlanta is far and away the best team in this division. Do you agree?
Yes, I do. I think it's ridiculous when I see these rankings and these MLB writers stating that the Mets and the Mets and the Phillies actually have a chance. I still think that Atlanta really is a great team. They didn't lose too many pieces in the offseason. I just think that it will be a tough division with the Mets now. It's almost like, it's like the NL West where the Padres had a lot of additions in the offseason. But yeah, the Braves, they're gonna be doing what they always do. You got some great, they re-signed Marcell Ozuna, and I think he has a lot of stock in that bat, and I think he's just a great player. And obviously Freddie Freeman, the MVP. And yeah, I just don't see the Braves, doing worse, than last season.
I would almost say this. I think Washington is better than both the Mets and the Phillies. I really love the addition of Josh Bell. I think he's going to have a huge season. If Kyle Schwarber has a huge season, I don't know if he will or not, but just talking about two big impact bats on top of Juan Soto that guy is on another planet. He wasn't even born. He's not from Earth. He's so good. He's got to be from Mars. So I think Washington should probably be the second best team in the division. And you still got Scherzer and Strasburg at the top of the rotation too.
Yeah. And don't forget about Trey Turner there. He is such an impactful player.
Awesome.
He's going to be a 20-20 man, maybe even a 30-30 man. I mean, he is one of the few guys that can actually hit above 300, hit for power, and actually steals bases. And with this new sabermetrics bullshit, you don't really have that anymore. And Trey Turner is like, no, I'm going to steal some bases,
Yeah, I think Washington's pretty good. I don't even know will the Mets even make the playoffs? I'm almost ready to say they won't make the playoffs. I know they've done a lot of things, but yes, Lindor helps, and they've made a ton of moves, Carrasco and all that, but at the end of the day, what can go wrong for the Mets usually does.
Well, Carrasco's out, huh? Didn't he just get injured?
Yeah, Carrasco's out. Syndergaard's hurt. Outside of DeGrom and Jeff McNeil, I don't have a lot of certainty on that team.
Yeah, Dom Smith, he had a great sample size last year, but can he carry that through a full season? I think that's the real
we don't
question.
even know where he's going to play because there's no DH in the NL.
Exactly.
How do you get his bat in the lineup?
Yeah, and Pete Alonso, he
went back down to earth this past year.
What did he bat, 230 last year?
Something like that.
You could call it a sophomore slump, but I think the what's his name, the polar bear.
Yeah. They spent a lot of money on James McCann. Okay.
Yeah.
okay.
What he's kind of washed. What was he good with the Tigers a few years ago?
He's a good defensive catcher, but I don't know how much is he really going to hit enough to be a big impact bat? Probably not.
I don't think so. He'll give you maybe hopefully a 260 season with 15 home runs.
All right, NL Central. I don't want to waste any time on the Pirates. This division's actually somewhat open, isn't it? The Cardinals got Arenado. The Brewers, maybe Yelich can bounce back. Maybe the Cubs are kind of downish. The Marlins are actually getting better. I don't know what to do with this division.
Central, it's a mishmash of teams, definitely.
Cincinnati lost Bauer.
I don't see the Cubs doing really anything this year. I think they're going to have a pedestrian year. I think they're going to win 84 games, to be honest with you. I think the addition of Jock Peterson was really big for their offense, but Chris Bryant had a terrible year last year. And all these guys are going to try to protect their bodies because they all have contract years coming up. Bryant and Rizzo, they're all going to be gone. And I think Baez as well. Correct me if I'm wrong there. But I just don't see the Cubs making much of an impact on the NL Central.
Who would you pick to win this division?
Honestly, Cardinals.
Yeah, I think so too, almost. I don't know why. Jack Flaherty at least gives them an ace at the top. I don't know if I can say that about any other team.
Yeah. Well, I also see Paul Goldschmidt having a really big bounce back year. I think he hasn't really been able to prove himself as a Cardinal so far, but I think he is just hungry and he's waiting, and he's going to hit 30 home runs and bat 300 this upcoming season. So we'll see how that pans out.
Yeah, to me, the NL Central, that actually might be the worst division in baseball. If I think about
Agreed. I think it will take 80. I think it's going to take 87 games to win a division.
Wow. All right, NL West. I don't even want to do this because I don't want to toot your own horn here. I honestly don't think the Padres have a chance. I think they're complete and utter frauds.
I think they're overmatched. Honestly, I think Manny Machado is incredibly overrated. I think Justin Turner he's aging, but when healthy, Justin Turner is a much better hitter than Manny Machado. Yes, I mean, I do know that the ball bounces off of Machado's bat like crazy. And yeah, I'm well aware of that, but I see Turner as a better third baseman. Fernando Tatis, pitchers have started figuring him out. I mean, you look what he did.
Come on. Don't do this. Don't be the Fernando Tatis stinks guy. Don't let that be part of your brand.
He dropped out in the last month of the season. Pitchers are starting to figure him out. If he makes adjustments, then that contract will be worth every penny. But he has to make those adjustments first.
He's like the only guy I like on their team.
I'll believe it when I see it. I like Hosmer a lot, actually, and I like Will Myers.
Hosmer. Why do you like Hosmer? He's like every other year he decides he wants to play again. He'll hit like 250, then he'll hit 300, and he gives no power. And he's one of the most overrated defensive first baseman there is.
I agree. But would you rather have Hosmer or Muncy on your team for first baseman?
Does the contract get factored into this?
Let's just go by statistics and just pure player.
Muncy, I think. I don't think Hosmer's. I think Hosmer's very, very overhyped.
Yeah,
he's not a $20 million per year player to me.
I agree. I absolutely agree with that.
I think the Padres are frauds. I really do. I don't think they have close to the pitching staff that the Dodgers have. And honestly, we look, this Padres team. What do they really have? Yes, I love Fernando Tatis. Machado, he's a bit of a scumbag. He's never going to give you the production you think he does. And outside of Jake Cronenworth, who's an all-around just stud utility guy, I don't really love anybody on their team.
I think the sample sizes of last season really kind of fooled everybody. I think you have guys like Jake Cronenworth,
they were dead in that postseason series in the first round last year. Dead. Yeah. They should have lost in the first round. And they were never even in the series against the Dodgers last year.
Yeah, and they signed up Darvish, who's completely washed.
He was good last year, but to me that trade's a disaster. I would rather have Zach Davies. We can clip this. Give me Zach Davies in 2021 over Darvish this year.
Darvish is washed. Let's be real. He ate the Cubs up when he was on their team in the last 3 years. He had one good sample size year. 60 games is not very long. And when you're a pitcher, that's only like 12 starts.
I thought that trade was a mistake. I think Zach Davies is not only better than him, but I can't fathom the idea of giving up assets for Darvish when he's making the kind of money he is.
Yeah. Agreed.
Zach Davies is making pennies.
Yeah. And Chris Paddock, he's overrated. He's not that good. Let's be real.
I think Snell was a good addition, but you're also they're bleeding their farm system.
Oh, they're depleting them. They're absolutely just pulling them up, and there's no breathing room there. I think, it's just, this is going to be a big, I really want to see what the Padres do, and I really love Dave Roberts' comment, the manager of the Dodgers, of him saying, it's not a rivalry yet, it's not a rivalry yet. They might think that there's a rivalry, but in reality, the Dodgers are still they're the team of the West, 100%.
Before I let you go, can you give me like a 1 minute rant on how much you hate Rob Manfred?
Rob Manfred, let's see. Well, as you know, I'm an old school baseball guy. I'm conservative when it comes to baseball.
Oh, I have another question that I have to ask you, but go ahead.
Sure. Rob Manfred, I think he's He's trying to market baseball to people who have never liked it. 100%. He's trying to shorten the games in unconventional ways. What he should be doing instead is be focusing on baseball outreach in other countries. You have places like Australia and England and, even Japan and, places where originally baseball is really popular, like Cuba and stuff like that. And he's kind of backing away from that. And that really, I think, is leading to his downfall. And he's focusing too much on a country that, is very much driven by football and basketball. And he's trying to make it like football and basketball in America, but he has to extend outward, not inward. I think the biggest problem is the NBA has been smart with this. Hey, we want you guys to post our social media clips, post the dunks and post the 3-point shots. MLB, they're like Judge Judy. You post a clip on social media, can't do that. We'll suspend your account. It's free advertising and they don't allow it. Yeah. Well, when I say that I'm conservative when it comes to baseball, obviously I'm pretty outspoken about sabermetrics and so you're a low-key boomer. I'm a low-key boomer. Yes. But, I think, for any sport, in order to gain traction, social media is such a big part of it. They want nothing to do with social media. Yeah. I mean, literally Nick Young, Swaggy P, or in the NBA, he has 4 million followers on Instagram. And the most, I think, from any player on Instagram is Mike Trout. And I think he has a little bit over 1 million. Jeez. I mean, it's just ridiculous. That's a problem. I mean, that is a problem. And I think, the way people, okay, if social media was around in the late 90s, with the steroids and all that, Mark McGwire, Ken Griffey Jr., these guys would be way higher, much higher regarded, in my opinion. Yeah. All right. Last question. Then I'll let you go because I had to bring this up. Why are you anti-shift guy? Shifts are great. Shifts are great. If somebody can't hit the ball in the shift, let them figure it out. Or you know what? Don't put them in the lineup that day. I felt like this question was going to come up, Trey. Don't be anti-shift guy. Nobody tells Bill Belichick how many guys to put on his defensive line. So for me, why call it a shortstop? Why call it a second baseman if they're playing in shallow right field or left field? Why? But Kevin Durant's a power forward, but he plays center. Who cares? For me, it's more so of I like the strategy that normal infield depth, playing on the outfield grass, depending on the situation, whether it's a guy on third or whatever. I think that's what I like to see more so. When you have the shift, you're manipulating the game too much. You're taking players, you're forcing guys, like second basemen who don't have the arm strength to throw it across the field to go into an awkward position where they don't feel comfortable. It seems like a weak excuse, Milo. But I just it's harder to turn a double play with the shifts. So many times. That's why you don't like it. You don't like the shift. I'm old school in that sense, man. He is a boomer. He is a definite boomer. Alex, before I wrap this up, you have anything to add?
I wanted to just say I agreed with the Manfred comments. Just also the fact that our attention span right now is very, very short. So you can understand why he's trying to shorten the games, right? Because you sit there for a long amount of time. Usually those basketball games aren't as long, or those football games aren't as long.
Basketball timeouts and put me to sleep.
Okay. And but it only is really extended at the end of the game when teams get into foul trouble, and then you just foul.
Yeah, I'm ready to wrap this shit up.
It's like mound visits.
During an NBA timeout, I'm ready to wrap this shit up.
Right.
Let's go.
But I do understand it, but
I don't know. I don't. I like a good long baseball game. I love a good long baseball game. And my strategy, I want to put this out. If anybody that has a DVR, hit the DVR button. Don't watch the game for 30 minutes. Put it on. and fast forward through all the timeouts, I guarantee you'll love baseball.
Yep.
I'm also just saying, I mean, just the reality of it is, though, like, not many people are like that.
How about if I
It's
go
just
to a
that simple.
baseball game? I don't want to go and sit at a baseball game for 2 hours. I want to go and really enjoy myself and get a couple beers in.
I mean, I get it, but you know, just the reality is, it's not like that right now. It's not how it used to be. Timing wise, just not. Nobody wants to pay attention for that long.
I do.
And I think putting that runner on second base in extra innings is absolutely ridiculous. That's probably like my least
I
favorite
don't think
rule.
that's ever going to happen.
But again, I mean,
That's
it's
not
all
gonna
about
happen
speeding it
long-term.
up. It's all it is.
All right. That is Milo Coulter. Thanks to him for coming on the show. Find him
Thanks
on
for
Twitter.
having me.
Yeah, Milo BC on Twitter. He needs more followers, so make sure to do that. All day AJ27, the producer booth, myself, Trey Delbert. Thank you guys for watching and listening. Hit that subscribe button on YouTube, and we will see you next time.